Backpage 411. Obviously we'll start off with our hosts. We got Niv to the right of us. We got obviously Shegs with the camera, Jerry behind there, Sammy as well.
What's going on?
But to the right of me, obviously, I'll kind of save the best till last. We have a legend in the game.
I'm feeling this podcast already. Proper
that's
feeling
good,
it.
That's good. We have a legend in the game. I've watched him and seen what he's done in terms of the banner that you can see behind us and behind him, what he's contributed, what he's given back to the game. I've seen him how as a father, how he's been with his son, supporting his son and having the influence on youngsters as well. Even though I briefly met him a few weeks ago, just watching what he's doing, going into different academies and talking and offering his time, I think it's a blessing to the game and it's a blessing to us. So I'd like to welcome the one and only Troy Townsend.
No, guess what? I haven't had a big up like that. Right?
There was more.
No, you best walk with me every time. I tell you.
There was more, but I just want to say, thank you for giving up your time.
Pleasure.
You've been such a busy man. We've been watching you and watching your movements and what you've been doing, and we just wanted to obviously just get to know you and what you do, what you bring to the game. So I just wanted to ask first and foremost, who is Troy Townsend? Like, who are you as a man?
You've gone there.
Yeah.
Do you know why? Because it's funny you say that, because I did a talk about 9 months ago.
Right.
To an audience that didn't really know me. The people that got me in knew me, but the audience. Yeah. And the first thing I put was, who is Troy Townsend?
Okay.
And I struggled to answer it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you never critique yourself in that way, do you?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Troy Townsend is a blah, blah, blah years of age man. A guy who only ever dreamed of being a professional footballer. So I wasted my early years on that dream, on kicking that ball, on being the next best thing that there could ever be, and believing in everything that people were telling me as well, because I was very good as a young player, and you kind of believe the hype, don't you? You get into a stage where you think to yourself, these dreams can come true. I didn't know the obstacles. I didn't know what. All I thought was, boy, if I keep putting the ball in the back of the net because I was a centre forward, that's how it's made. And I suppose the dream always lived on. So I got the opportunity to step out at the old Wembley as part of, at that time we were at Waltham Forest, and for a young man that had a dream, we
Wembley.
went there on the Thursday and done a kind of demo of what we were going to do, which was basically, there was all these different boroughs in London doing super skills on the pitch,
Right.
And we went out there and I stepped on the grass, do you know what I mean? And man, this is it. This is what I want to be. This is where I want to go. And remember going there on the Saturday in front of, you man weren't even twinkles in no one's eye then. It's 1980 is the FA Cup final, West Ham v Arsenal.
Wow.
And you're there. You lost. You're there, and you're kicking a ball at Wembley, with the players warming up around you and whatever else, and so that you're tasting the real deal of football. And the FA Cup back then, I don't think it's like the FA Cup now. The FA, you know what I mean?
It was something special back then.
It was different.
Yeah.
And I remember waking up at 8 o'clock to get ready for 9 o'clock and watch the whole proceedings happen all the way through until the show finished at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And there I was out there, and I was on the television the night before, and it's just, this is it. It's going to happen, I've been at 2 academies. I was at Millwall and Crystal Palace for short periods of time. Got released. I was at Millwall with the Man United man in the room, so I was at Millwall with Cheddar Sheringham.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you see how Listen, we were at the same Sunday club, Beaumont Football Club.
Oh, is that Beaumont?
Yeah,
wow. That's a famous.
That's the one. Yeah,
that's a famous one. Yeah.
Well, listen, Michael Gilks, Reading, Southampton, Chelsea, Jimmy Carter, Martin Hayes. Arsenal, obviously Arsenal boys. Just Perry Suckling, the goalkeeper. Just we had ballers, you know what I mean? Vince Hilaire, who was my hero at the time.
Yes.
And I thought, wow, that's my journey tracked, And then you go into, so most of Beaumont went into Millwall or Crystal Palace.
Right.
and I got released from one. I remember my debut. Sorry, I played against Villa, and we won for. I don't get often.
It's cool, man. It's cool.
And we beat Villa 4-2, and I rattled one. Believe you me, play this in your head. You dream of scoring, don't you?
Yeah.
On no matter what debut it is, and pick one up from the halfway line and just bam, 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 bam. Lick the best thing that I've ever hit. And the ting hit the bar, man. I was like, man. But I scored, and I felt good. And I felt, everyone was talking about me. And honestly, when I first joined the academy, I thought that was it. You just, every step you just take is through. And then obviously that's not the case. And I've had disappointment in football before, but you lose a game, you win the next one. So what? But yeah, I got let go. I went to Crystal Palace. I worked under John Cartwright, who at the time was the England under-21 manager as well, so coach. So I was in good hands, I was in good hands. But it wasn't to be, and the journey took a real downward spiral because on being released, let go. At that time, released is not what it is now. It's just, you know what, don't come back again. Yeah, it's okay. Right. Boy, that had a detrimental effect on me because you think about it, you put everything into the game, you believe that you're doing everything to make you the next superstar. You get given certain privileges and certain honours, and particularly when you're walking around in school, everyone knows who you are. You're the baller, you're the one who, do you know what I mean? And it had such a massive effect on me. I couldn't believe that I was not part of a setup before that would be a professional setup. One thing I always remember, and particularly with Teddy Sheringham, his dad was everywhere. Supporting his dad was everywhere supporting him, to the point where I actually thought he's part of the coaching staff. No, seriously, do you know what I mean? I was like, I was just like, Beaumont, we're at Beaumont, his dad's everywhere. We're at Mill, his dad's everywhere. I think, my man's got some coaching badges, you know what I mean? Like, and it was just, but you know what? It's everything that I lacked. So my parents never, ever watched me play football. So if you think about the thing that you love the most, the thing that you think you're doing the best, who's the people you want there the most?
Your family, your parents,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
My motivation went.
Yeah. It's funny because I never held it against my mum or dad at the time because I didn't. As far as when I'm on the pitch, that's fine. I'm cool. I'll do everything I need to do. But I talk about it all the time now. And I talk about that support system, that guidance, that being part of having a unit around you that helps develop you, but also makes you want to show off that little bit more. And that's what it is. It's showing off in front of your family. And I never had that. Never ever had it. And if it's not a regret, because ultimately my mum was out working till God knows what time to make sure that I had things on my
food on the table and everything like that.
Cloth on my trousers, whatever. You know what I mean? And but it's the thing I know. I remember one day, I think after my Millwall debut, my manager from a Sunday team worked around the corner from me, from where we lived, and he gave me a list of all the clubs that were there that night that were impressed with me.
Right.
Arsenal was on there.
Come on, man.
Queen's Park Rangers, I think Chelsea, Tottenham, and I was buzzing. My house was only 5 minutes down the road. I don't even think I walked. I glided home, had the little sheet of paper, gave it to my mum, and said, "Mum, look at this." Mum, oblivious to football anyway, screwed it up in the bin. What? Did you do your homework? And you think about things like that, and you think about how it can infect you
as a
internally.
child, as a
do you know
young
what I mean?
person,
Because ultimately, it's the only thing. Books was not my thing. It was just not my thing. So I had a talent, I had a skill, and I had an ability that I thought was going to take me to everywhere I needed to be. And it wasn't supported. And I've got an older brother who was also a good footballer, but again, didn't seem to really be interested in my journey, but he had a journey that he was trying to go on as well. So that kind of shaped my life. I'm going to say this, I suffered mentally with it as well, the whole thing of not being involved in the game at that level. And then I went to seek friendship I went to seek, because listen, most of my school teams, I was a captain. I was in the district. I was, at Beaumont. I was in the top teams all the way through. So I was a leader. Being a leader let me down. Being a leader meant that I actually didn't make it into the next level, And I kind of seeked that kind of friendship that would mean that I was just part of a group. I was now becoming a follower. And in becoming a follower, I had this one friend who actually was top baller himself, but never had the interest that I had. Loved drink, loved girls, loved stupidness. Do you know what I mean? But the boy could play.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, look at his lifestyle. He seems to be getting on all right. Do you know what I mean? Why don't I do that? And I got to admit that I started hanging around with the wrong people in the wrong places at the wrong times, doing the wrong things, and we all know what that is. Do you know what I mean? Just because I was a follower and part of a group that actually seemed to be well liked, but also feared. And I wanted to be a part of that to take away the disappointment of football.
Yeah, compensate.
And I was part of that for many, many years, far too many years, actually 3-4 years of being part of this crowd that actually everyone knew, but everyone knew for no good.
Sorry to cut you.
Yeah.
At what age was it that you was going through all of this?
18, early 20s. It was, I didn't finish my schooling. I did very minimal exams. I kind of lost myself, and I was in and out of home from about 15, 14. I became a rogue. I became someone who, just had a key and put the key in the door whenever that would be. And I had no money. And I remember taking on a job that paid me £115 a week in Stoke Newington.
Okay, yeah.
And I was stitching women's boots.
Wow.
And when I say stitching, you see all the thread and the lining on everything. There's me on a machine. Because it's the only thing that can pay me a little piece of change. I started DJing as well.
Okay.
And I woke up one morning and thought to myself, what am I doing with my life? Because as far as I'm concerned, I was now becoming a nobody. And I never went back to that job again after a year. I just never went back, didn't tell them I weren't coming back, I just decided I ain't going, this is not for me. So coaching was my thing. I'll cut a long story short because things were going on, but coaching was my thing. I've done my coaching badge early doors. I opened up my own academy to help young players who were just like me, who lacked a bit of guidance, probably had the support because the parents that started with me were very good, but needed that energy to help them develop, and for some reason when I was coaching, they were listening, it seemed good. We became a dominant team in our area, and then I took them across the country, and I was loving it, so all of a sudden I was back in love with football again, but in a different way, and then I met my business partner, Steve Brown. We become business partners. We used to play against each other.
Right.
And I hated him when he was man, seriously, this boy could play,
Yeah.
He used to play for Charlton.
Why did you used to hate him? What was it about his game?
He was good. And he's one of them wingers, dropped shoulder and done it all elegantly. Do you know what I mean? And man, I used to hate him. And we became business partners because our partners knew each other and children knew each other, went to the same school, and we just clicked like that, And for the next 10 odd years, we dominated the kind of sporting arena in Waltham Forest. We created our own company and Ultimate Sports, and then we were going into schools and we were providing PE provision and then after school provision and then holiday provision, and you wasn't a child that moved if you didn't know who we were, It's a really great thing, to be totally honest, to be a part of. Now I was affecting children in a different way as well. I was helping young people, and it's funny because I see some of them now. One, they're bigger than me. Well, they look like you, to be honest. You know what I mean? So it's like, bigger than me, chest will puff out. Sir! Don't call me no sir, But you know what? The respect that some of them have given me now, when they were giving me absolute headache at the time, is just why I'm in it, why I was in it, And then the last 8 years here at Kick It Out, just trying to influence the game, trying to do things, help challenge the industry, try and empower people, trying to help people when they don't know the probably avenues to go down, and just trying to be that person who challenges the narrative that still exists in this game, unfortunately. So, I think sometimes people take me for granted. I think sometimes people fed up of me. Here he goes again, talking again about that old racism
Yeah.
thing that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And it's, but you know what? They'll never get me down. Yeah, it does get me down at times, but I'll continue to be who I am because I believe that if there's not enough of us to actually go around to say something exactly. So.
Yeah.
That's kind of me, and obviously I've chopped off bits and pieces.
Yeah.
But that's
A lot of pieces.
I wanted to leave some stuff for later, just in case. Yeah.
No, that's fine. So, gosh, where do I even start? So, in terms of what you were saying about when you started at Kick It Out, how was it when they offered you? Is it something that was offered to you, or was it something that
you know what? I volunteered.
Right.
So the business we had, we were a free service until we went into schools, and then obviously the schools had to pay us contracts and stuff like that, But I was in a permanent school in Leytonstone, and I changed the whole culture. I don't really. This is what people tell me. I changed the whole culture of the school. I'm going into school, and there's children with torn up like trainers and shoes, and they come to PE and they're wearing jeans and a shirt, and so I gave them a structure. People might think this is easy, but you know what? White t-shirt, blue shorts, blue tracksuit bottom. You're not doing PE if you're not doing it. Gave them a kit. They had no kit before. I remember when we turned up to our first five-a-side competition, the other schools watched us come in and started laughing at us because they've got no kit.
No kit.
So we gave them an identity.
Yeah.
I remember playing our first 11 side match. And there's me, a man that only deals in winning. You know what I'm saying? The losing part of it hurts me. But you know what? You get what I mean, don't you? And we got beat 7-1 on the first day that we played. My goalkeeper's trying to tackle on the halfway line and all that kind of stuff. Right, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, oh my. And I was embarrassed. I don't lose 7-1, let alone in the man. And people might say, well, that's a bit harsh. But it was a massive lesson for me as well. The boys at the time bought into the concept, you know what, if we're going to do this, we got to train, we got to work hard, we got this, you got to do after school, we got that. We never lost again that season. Wow. We won the league, we won the cup, and all of a sudden I saw young people who felt good about themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they were now wearing a kit, which again, people we're in the border of Leytonstone and Stratford. So my time came there, and I'm not going to talk about my time ending there because the person that did it basically wanted to finish me off, wanted to, I'm so much good at that school that one of the head teacher that brought me in left, retired, someone who I'd helped support get to the headship, came in and then switched.
Everything changed.
How does that, sorry, just to interject as well, you've obviously said that you've then created a culture at that school.
Yeah.
Could you have spread that to the whole of the Waltham Forest borough itself?
We were influencing right across the board. Everyone knew who Mayville was in the end. Everyone knew who Troy and Steve was in the end. Everyone knew that Troy and Steve was developing young people and developing them in sport, providing opportunity, empowering young people. I had this young girl she was a physically big girl, and she didn't feel that she could take part in any of the sporting activities, athletics, I can't jump, I can't run quick, I can't this, I can't that. So I created the shot put.
I was going to say.
Created the shot put,
the field events.
And I included it in the borough athletics because I was one of the lead people now.
Yeah.
Boy, this girl could throw the thing further than ever. Do you know what? And when she won the gold, and all right, it's only them little pieces, but she won it and she was so proud.
Yeah.
And we got her up in assembly. So this girl that actually a lot of the children were taking the mick out of, all of a sudden she's standing there and saying, me. Do you know what I mean? And for me, that's what everything was about. But what comes with that is jealousy.
Yeah,
of course.
And what comes with that is people saying, oh, look what he's doing. How can it? And the person that really wanted to drive me out was born from jealousy. Was born, you know what PE teachers like. Everyone loves a PE teacher.
Until you get on top of them.
Until you get on top.
Exactly.
So I'm doing good. I'm doing right by the school, raising its levels, helping children actually go back into class and perform. Because if you don't, that sporting thing, it ain't gonna be a thing for you.
Thank you.
And I can only put it down to jealousy, and she tried to drive me out. I had some dark days. She tried to get me out with no money. And that ain't happening. So
to get paid.
In the end, I left, and it was such an emotional day the last day because she tried to put me on a trip that meant I would come back after the end of the school.
So then you miss
so
all
you
the
and
kids.
miss all the
kids.
children,
No.
But Troy too clever for that, you know.
Yeah.
So when the teacher's saying, Troy, we're going to stay a half an hour. No. We're going. We're going. But we're going to come back into school. I then need to tell the children I'm leaving. Then the fallout comes after that. And the fallout was emotional. But I left. We still got the business. I tried to go into another school. I weren't feeling the love. Not from them, it's me inside. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just started to look around. I spent 8 months probably not doing anything. I got a little payout. I spent 8 months not doing as much as what I should have done, going into the odd school here, not feeling it, trying to drum up that, that
Same energy
Yeah,
you had
yeah,
before,
yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
not.
it's not
real.
because it's left a lasting taste in my mouth. And there was an event that Kick It Out put on at remember the old David Beckham Centre?
Yeah.
And I just went. So let me go. Let me put my tracksuit and thing and go. And Michael Emalalo was there and a few people, and I got talking. And then I'm like, this organised. You know what I mean? 6 weeks later, a volunteering opportunity come up, and again, I'm not your young whippersnapper. Now I've got to provide a living, but the opportunity came up. Listen, £5 expenses. £5 lunch money, yeah? It's a £10. I went and got some funding from Vodafone, who were giving out some funding at that time.
Right.
So a little change, doing the job. 3 months volunteering. Because I thought is that I could bring my knowledge and that from my footballing aspect into this organisation.
Yeah.
But I didn't want them to know who I was. So I didn't want them to know my background. I haven't mentioned my son yet, but I didn't want them to know my son. I just wanted to go and do a job. 3 months I was supposed to be there for, volunteering. 8 months I'm volunteering. So I was like, listen, I'm going to have to get paid out. You know what I'm saying? And what happened was the guy that was doing the job that I do now is a guy called Earl Barrett.
Okay.
Who used to play for Man City, Oldham, England,
Wow.
top guy, lived up in, and his dream was always that he wanted to coach. He wanted to get back into coaching. And I knew it was his dream because, boy, Earl was lazy, man. But he ventured, so that a day after I said, you know what, you're going to have to either offer me something. I don't know how these things work. I don't know if there's someone upstairs. I'm not sure. The day after, or 2 days after, I said, you know what, you're going to have to, or else I'm going to have to leave.
Yeah.
And search
All of
for
a
something.
sudden.
It's a bluff, by the way.
100%.
Don't put this bit out. That's
Then believe it.
Listen, it was a massive bluff because I loved what I was doing, and at that time, all I was doing was folding T-shirts that you see, sending them out. So that's a bluff. But Earl come and said, you know what, I'm moving on. I'm going to Stoke. So when Earl said, I'm going So I'm waiting for, I'm waiting for that call, innit? You know what I'm saying? And everyone just said, look, you'll be fine. Board of Governors said, look, all the work you've been doing and that, you've been brilliant. We think it's right that you take over. And I did, and I haven't looked back since, and I've kind of been put my personality on it. I've then done all the education stuff and obviously become a vocal point on when talking out about issues. But it's everything that I stood for and everything that I wanted to change in the game. And listen, I haven't looked back at all. There's been massive challenges. There's been hurdles that I thought I'd never overcome. I am so indebted to, I never really had a role model.
Yeah.
Live role model.
Yeah.
We all think that my guy was Ronaldo, the real Ronaldo.
R9.
You see it there?
R9.
I mean, respect to the pretend one, but R9 is my boy. I know I'm going to hit man up. All Man United man around me, you know what I mean? I know I'm going to hit man up. But
The R9s,
What silver ones, yeah? No, the black ones.
Okay. Even the blue ones.
yeah,
as well.
so respects, see, I loved every Brazilian player, to be fair, apart from the ones that had 2 foot that went out the other way. But Herman Ousley, Lord Herman Ousley, let me give him his full title. Chair of Kick It Out for 25 years. The man that started this revolution, the man who took on the mantle of challenging the industry because of what it was doing or what it wasn't doing. Sorry, the lack of what it was doing for black players. The man that could walk in any corridor and people have to stand up and take note. The man that can speak in any environment, you know. He became an unofficial mentor for me. The respect, just a person who taught you when to challenge, when to hold your corner, when to speak up, when to say there'll be another day, do you know what I mean? And when to, you know what, go two-footed, go in. And he would do it in such a manner and a respectful manner. And then he empowered me to do it in his way, but with my slant on it, do you know what I mean? And I can't thank him enough for everything that he's done in this organisation, but I can't thank him enough for helping me develop at my late stage to let me understand what the industry could or would do, or how to challenge all that aspects. And he's not a man that would want to listen to this and take the plaudits, do you know what I mean? But ultimately he's
humble.
Man, he's the guy, the reason why I was here once I got to know him, and still here because you know, I don't want to let him down now as well, you know.
You're flying the flag.
High five for him, man, because that's my role model, and I'll tell anyone that anyway, so that wants to listen. So so he's the driver of a lot of what I still have burning inside of me to still create change.
Wow, that's very interesting. I could literally listen to you for hours.
We ain't got hours. No.
I know, but it's
no. That's just
it is interesting. Yeah, very interesting.
We ain't got long enough.
Just a brief.
My title is Head of Development, which is a title that has changed probably every year, from education manager to this to that to development and community and all this crap. I deliver education into clubs, so all the academies have the option of having workshops from me, which is appreciating and understanding equality, diversity, the issues that continue to exist out there, the challenges that the players face, but their role in playing in it as well, you know, because ultimately a lot of the players still need a lot of education. So I designed all that. I've done that for now the past 6+ years, designed it all, made it all relevant, made it all that, you know, the learning that comes from it. I learn from it as well, to be honest, every time I'm having a conversation with the players. So that is my main remit, is to deliver that and to keep delivering it. And people talk highly of it, so we must be doing something right. I also work on the mentoring program, which is the first program that I started to work on, and it's called Raise Your Game. And it's about providing people from underrepresented groups with opportunity to possibly work in football. Right. So the big event, we just had an event on Wednesday, which was, we're learning about the business of an intermediary, a sports agent. 20 young people go with us there. We've got a media Raise Your Game with Sky Sports on March the 6th. We've got a women's Raise Your Game on March the 9th.
I saw
and
that.
then we've got the big national conference, which is the big one. So 300 people come in, 100 odd mentors from spread throughout football, like recognisable names, providing mentoring opportunities, workshops, keynote speeches and whatever. And there's been so many great people that have come through the process and have come out the other end and are working in the game now. Lots of people. I'm so proud of her doing their thing now and diversifying football from the image that most people see and most people would recognise. So they're the two powerful things that I'm involved in or run, and that's what keeps me going. The other side of it is obviously every time there's an issue is to talk it up and to be on the television, to take media requests, to say the same thing that I've been saying over and over again. But you know, the power of that is I feel my voice is diminishing. I don't think that people are listening anymore. I don't think that...
I think they are.
The game as such, maybe people in high positions who don't like being criticised. But you know what, there's a couple of times lately where I've been walking through a train station and a man, brother, keep doing your thing, my brother. I got you. You know what I mean? And then he don't know me, and then another guy, don't call me no Mr, you know. Mr. Townsend, God bless you. And so when you then realise that people who have no voice or maybe don't have the prominence that I have,
showing appreciation,
you must be doing something
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Keep talking, keep saying it. We're right behind you. And everything you stand for. Yes, and that overweighs all the crap that you possibly get on social media and all that stupidness that people want to label at you, you know?